Anne.
And Anne, she was really intrigued by this whole giving water a voice idea. So she asked other people who are also, they know everything about water, and she asked them in a series of podcasts that she interviewed them, and she distilled these ideas from it that we can use in our future work to take water more into account.
Okay, well, then I suggest that we are going to listen to Anne van Strien, what the voice of what water actually is telling us. Anne van Strien, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the water, actually, to provide me with its wisdom to be able to develop this project. So thank you very much, water. I highly appreciate your wisdom. And we use water in many different ways. We cook with it, we wash with it, we flush water away, so to speak. So it's many different ways of using, but do we actually really see the water? Do we actually really see you in your purifying power that you contain? Do we actually really see the living entity that you are? And do we actually really see the way you give life to every being on this planet, every animal, every plant, and every human being? Or do we just use you? So this was my starting question to make this series of podcasts named Listening to the Voice of Water, or in Dutch, Luisteren naar de stem van water. And Anouk already introduced it, that through Kees we understood deeply that water has a voice, and there's no time anymore to not listen to this voice. Water is a connecting entity on this planet, and we interact with it every day. We let it stream through our bodies. It keeps us alive. It purifies us. So in a series of podcasts, I interviewed 4 people that I found profoundly wise in their view on water and important to listen to for the future of how we interact with water. And this was Connie van Rooij van Waterschap de Dommel, Eva van Strien and Kim Hemmes, the water ambassadors of last year, Kees Kamp from The Voice of Water, Wat is Water, and Monique Driessen, she's doing her PhD research currently on the University of Gothenburg in Sweden. And with this way of contemplating about the essence of water, I went to set out on an explorative journey to really get to know and to unravel, to unfold this wisdom that water is. And through these series of podcasts, I distilled 9 drops of consciousness to really give us a new water consciousness that can help us to interact with water from today. And what this consciousness is, it's actually a very old consciousness that our body might already have, but our minds have yet forgotten. So it is our task to really remember this wisdom that we as human beings hold in our bodies, in our souls, and really reconnect with the essence of water again. So what I find important to share here is about the 9 drops of consciousness, a few of these drops. And one of the most important that is really close to me was one that I spoke about with Connie. And it's about Standing Rock, the water wisdom of the elders that have spoken to us a few years ago. And they expressed to us the deep consciousness that water is a source of life, and it's not a resource. It's not a resource that we can only use, but it's really the essence of life. And once we open our consciousness to this understanding, I believe the way which we interact with water, the activities, the usage will automatically or naturally, better said, change. And also, in this way, the change that we are in, the transition that we are in, we are moving from a linear way of understanding to a circular way of understanding. So not only a circular way of handling the water, but also a circular understanding that our essence and the essence of the planet, if you look at the way it is shaped, it's a circular entity and it's a closed system. And there's many drops of water in this closed system, but never one will fall off. And you can see the way the earth is going right now at the way the water is currently behaving and the containment of the water, the state of the water. So in this way we can move also from the question, what do we want to do, to the question, who do we want to be? And I think this shines light on a profound shift in the way we look at ourselves in the world. So our worldview, it's not anymore we as a human species are central in this planet. We as a human species dominate, or we have to control. No, it's honoring the water for the life-giving capacity that it holds and its sacredness with that. Because if we contaminate the water only, soon we will not be able to live anymore. So this consciousness is not only an understanding in my brain, but it's really an understanding in my heart. And this was the way, the frequency with which I wanted to interact with the people I spoke with in my podcast. And in the last episode, number 6, I speak to the water directly, and I thank the water for its alchemical capacity to to bring life again, and the way when we touch water, as you see in this picture, its nature is circular, and it's just a remembrance to us. It's just for us to remind its circular nature and the way we have to interact with it. So the titles of the podcast, the first one was about deep listening, also the water within us. This one was done with Eva and Kim. The second one was stories written by water, the walk that Monique Driessen did through the city of Mexico, in which she talked with Don Anastasio, who showed them the fountain of water that can be found on the mountain that they inhabit, the mountain with the Aztec name Tlaloc, which is the god of not only water but also fertility. So you see in these old cultures that there already was this deep understanding that water is not only an entity that we can use, but it is the source of life. The third one was space for regeneration, and this word for me is key. It's not anymore, in my understanding, about sustainability. It's about the capacity to regenerate. It's about bringing back the natural balance that the planet of where we inhabit its deep essence is natural balance. And the last one with Kees was vital water, the understanding that water can be either dead or alive, and this is what brings us also alive. So remembering this water wisdom, that was the goal of this podcast. You can listen on it on SoundCloud, you can listen to it through the website of the World Design Embassies, and may this be the essence of the message to water.
Thank you, Anne. Let's see if there are any questions from our audience back home. Marjolein.
Well, I have quite an interesting one, if I may say so. It is when the value of water and our relationship with it changes for us. How will this affect the way it is provided to us? And what does it mean for changes within the institutionalized water system?
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a long question.
It's a long question.
Okay, who feels free to answer?
Anna, maybe?
I
don't know
can,
if it connects with your podcast.
Say something with it, about it. It's a deep question, I would say. What I mean with that is that it's a broad complexity of many different levels that has to kind of rewire first before it can wire in a new way. In our previous conversations, we were talking about a ship that basically has to redirect its direction. And if it doesn't do, we know from the Titanic it will it might hit an ice mountain, and it will be upside down soon. So with that, the urgency I cannot more underline. But how this will work in practice? Well, first, I think we should definitely ask ourselves the question, instead of what do we want to do, who do we want to be? I think that's the foundational question that we cannot overlook. And then from those new insights that we will gain, basically through asking ourselves this question and also each other, we will gain a new understanding what our role is in the totality of things. Because now we have seen that over the past decades, organizations and institutions might see themselves as a separate entity. Not everyone, of course, but we move towards an era in which we will see that, just like an ecosystem, all the parts are basically connected to each other as a whole. And from that, the new understanding can rise. And for example, if we look at the water sanitation system, the way it is designed right now, it is processed in a very linear way. We flush away the water, but it's not actually away. It's just out of our sight. And for example, the project Anthroponics, which is also discussed in the podcast, this is a way of understanding that we, through our urine, we either contaminate the water or we enrich it with our nutrients. So, but also these nutrients, these are the three most important nutrients for plants to grow. So in this way, we can see that plants can actually grow on our human urine. And in that way, we can produce food. Of course, it cannot be contaminated by medicine, but also in that way, we become aware that the medicine that we take, question one, is it actually does it actually make us more healthy? Question two is, what does it provoke in the water? In
the water system, yes.
Exactly, with possible ecological effects in places that we don't see it, such as fish that birth in a way that they are not either feminine or masculine anymore.
But so water actually it's everywhere. It affects everything. My last question, because we have to. And I wish the voice of water, I wish all of us a lot of luck and straightforward. Thank you very much watching Drive 2020.